One of the coolest things you get with Resolve Studio is the beauty tool that helps you fix your talent's skin imperfections quickly. It may not be worth it to you for the full Resolve Studio upgrade price. Many of the other benefits and features are there, hardware acceleration, that really make it worth it. But if you're still on Resolve Free and you would like access to a beauty type tool, there's a fantastic plugin from LearnNow FX that I thought you might like to see. Full disclosure, LearnNow FX did ask me to review this tool. I told him I'm not going to take any compensation for it. In fact, I want you to take the money that you might have given me, and I want you to apply it to a discount for my viewers. And so stick around. There's a discount at the end that will take money off of the $25 sticker price, which is already pretty darn fair. So again, in Resolve Studio, you have the ability to use this through your color page. What we're going to do is use LearnNow FX through the Fusion page. It's a Fuse that is a plugin for Fusion. And you install it, it's quite simple. You install it by dragging the Retoucher Lua file here into Resolve. And once you do that, it'll pop up and say, hey, just restart Resolve and you are in business. So with that installed, you'll be able to find it in the effects library, LearnNow FX, and Retoucher. So here I've got my media in with her and her skin and the great smile. I'm going to pull the retoucher down and just drop them into the workflow. I can now attach the media in to the retoucher and back to the media out. You can see here on the right, I now have my retoucher. It is already enabled, believe it or not. It immediately started to do some work. You can see what it looks like by turning on and off. There you go. So you can see there's a little bit of cleanup there, on and off with her and her skin. So what do we do with it? Well, you need to make sure you get the right skin color sample. What I like about this is it doesn't use a harsh mask to try and figure out which of the selections to use, which skin to use. Instead, what it does is it uses a universal keyer of sorts, and it allows me to come in and select. I'm going to select a mid-tone skin, and you can see this is her mid skin tone, and that will restrict all of the updates that it does to just that skin tone. You can see what that looks like by choosing Output to View and Skin Selection. To make sure that's the case, I'm going to use a polygon, and I'm going to trace out what I want affected by this effect, and that's really just around her skin, and I can get close enough here. All we're doing is restricting any amount of correction down to her skin by adding a mask to the blue connection. And all of a sudden, the only things that are getting affected by the smoothing are her skin and just this corner of her shoulder. So what do I want to do with this? Well, actually, I'm going to delete that, pull it out. There we go. And so now I've just restricted this to her skin, and you can see I now am in the retoucher. I've got a blue mask coming in on top of the retoucher, and I've got the retoucher ready to go. I can further change what is in the skin selection and not by using the retoucher controls that add and remove, but I'm not going to do that because I can very simply solve what I need to solve here. You can see in the sample skin color, I've got her midtones, and that means that the stuff that's really, really bright specular lighting, that's not selected. And the stuff that's in the darker sides of her skin, that's not selected either. So what am I going to do? Well, I can change the range here to make sure that more or less of her gets affected. Notice what this is doing as I move it, though. You can see the Resolve feature did not touch anything inside of the eyeglasses. Meanwhile, this has got it pretty well nailed. So I can make sure that I'm going to get the right depth of her skin. The way that this selector is implemented and the way that we're using a qualification to get the skin tones really is fantastic because it allows you to preserve some of the details that you might see in the specular lighting without keeping a lot of the mid-tone imperfections in the skin. You also have a color grading option down here after you're retouching, so I can choose which algorithm I want to use for the blurring, and I can choose what amount I want to blur. But let's go back to our skin retouched image and see what we've done here. If I turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. Now you may notice it's putting some aliasing around the glasses, and if you wanted to, you could play with the qualification to make sure that you get that out of there. But overall, her skin, if we look at her forehead here, Her skin is just getting a little bit of a nice, I don't know, it's got like that specular lighting, but it's all smoothed out here in the midtones pretty well. See the variation in color? And you hit it, and boom. In my opinion, you get a much better fall off. Even when you look at the darks to the lights, there's a more continuous curve going through there, and it'll give you a much more pleasing glow off of her skin. You're also given the ability to adjust, and I'm going to limit the color correction to just her skin. You get the ability to, in the gamma and gain, where the skin tones lie, you're able to adjust very specifically what you want to adjust. So here you'll notice I can lighten her skin up, or I can darken it down. I can do the same with the specular and brighter lighting, brighter parts of her skin, while still leaving the lighting on top because of our selection. So our selection did not include all of that bright highlights. So I can adjust the skin tone under the highlights, preserving that depth that it gives the skin, while still adjusting what I think gives her the best glow that I want to see off of her skin. And this allows me to see, really, with the changes down here, I'm able to now get the right amount of contrast I want between the lighting that's coming in, the fall off that I get in the colors, and the fall off I get in that exposure. Pretty excellent. So now let's look into another option here for Resolve. And I'm going to go into the color page and just see what this beauty is doing for me. I've already applied it, and you can see that she's got here in her skin, both in the cheeks and a little up here on the forehead, just some general glow that gets added, a little bit of smoothing, nothing you would necessarily notice, and that's really our goal with this. You don't want to notice that something got touched. So I'd say Resolve Studio did quite a good job on this model. I'm going to come into Fusion with the retoucher. Again, Effects Library, Tools, Learn Now FX, and I'm going to drag this in, and I'm holding down the Shift key and dropping it right on the line, and all of a sudden it's magically in the play. In fact, it's already been applied, and you can see, wow, pretty much the exact same thing that happened with Resolve Beauty has been done here automatically. All I did was drop this into the workflow. I am going to give us a better chance at making this perfect, though, by grabbing the eyedropper, again, finding a middle tone for her skin, something around there, and selecting it. Let's see what this has done now. Oh, wow. So you can see the variation that's in the skin, and you can see where it kind of got masked over a little bit, and we now have a bit cleaner skin with a bit of a glow. Now, if I think that, that's just a little too much effect, I can change this in a few different ways. I can pull the smoothing off here by adjusting the skin smoothing amount. I can change the selection, and this is what gives me a great ability, because I can change the selection to something, say, a little brighter, and it'll reduce quite a bit the amount of variation I see only in the very top edges of her skin with that light on it, rather than all the stuff that's underneath it. So I still get some of the character in the skin, but I'm able to smooth out that specular lighting so that it's not as harsh. The other option I could do is obviously make sure more of this is getting selected, more of the skin. And again, I can see that by coming to the skin selection and seeing exactly what is selected. Here the qualification is pretty solid. I'm going to, because this is all in major bokeh in the background, I don't really need to worry about it. You didn't see that there was a big difference in the Resolve Studio Beauty plugin either. But here I'm going to do it just so you can see how it's done again. This time I'm going to take an ellipse, and I'm going to restrict this ellipse to just her skin by pulling it around. And in the video, she doesn't move too much. If I needed to, I could track this over her skin, but it's not really that needed. This will preserve more of the detail here in any of the aspects of her hair and coat that really affect her skin. Back to the retoucher, and with the retoucher, I'm now going to use the retouched image. So now I've restricted that specifically to just her retouched image, and it's given her quite a good glow. What I like about this is when I'm moving it, I can see what the skin originally looked like, and I let go and it applies. That's kind of cool. So I'd say compare these two clips. Let's go take a look at them. here is the Learn FX Now, and here is Resolve Studio. I mean, it is pretty darn exact. The only difference I'm seeing in the character quality is that in Resolve Studio, I've affected everything because I haven't put a mask over it. And I can show you what that would look like. You would need to do a qualification or a mask on top of it, choosing a power window over the top of her face, much like we did in Fusion. So it's not like we're doing much else with the work there. You got to give it. This Learn Now FX tool, pretty darn good. Now, the retoucher is available here from Learn Now FX. You can get it at the link I've posted below. Now, David over at Learn Now FX was very generous, and if you come here to the retoucher, Learn Now FX, rather than taking compensation myself, what I've done is requested that he add a coupon code specifically for John's Films subscribers. And so to use this, you'll come in and click Buy Now. You're going to be charged $20 if you put John's Films, that's with the apostrophe and the space, here in the coupon code field. You'll see it's now $20. So this is a great way for you to pick up one of the best features in DaVinci Resolve Studio for only $20. Quite a benefit, quite a sell. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that this has given you a tool that you can use to make a difference in your videos. If you've chosen to buy this and use it, send me links to how you've used it. I'd love to see what you've created with this tool. And as always, thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.